Before we get to the actual video, I just wanted to come in and let you guys know I filmed this at the beginning of the month, and then I just have been procrastinating on editing anything for a very long time, so it's now like past the middle of the month, so I'm sorry, but I'm still gonna post it.
Hey everyone, it's Hailey, and today I wanted to talk about the books that I am hoping to read this January. So I have been still a reading machine, like so much so that I actually ended up upping my Goodreads goal. I will, obviously, it's just a personal like motivation thing. So if I'm finding that I'm lagging behind, then I will probably go back and up it. But in December, I read 20 books. So I started off the year with 20 books read because if you don't know, I count reads that I read in December as 2023 reads. Since I do Bookmas, it's just easier for me. So my reading year is from December to November. And that's just kind of the way that I do it. So when January 1st hits, I just like finally mark all the books that I read in December as read. That's how I do that. But yeah, so since I already have like 20 books read, actually, I think it's more than that at this point because I have read like some that I have to talk about already this month. The point is, I want to keep up this momentum. I've also been doing really well with like getting to my TBR veterans and everything. It's been really great so far. But the vibe has just been me kind of going for whatever suits my fancy, which is not that different from the usual, admittedly. So I wanted to just chat today about some books that have been kind of sticking out to me. I just wanted to take a second to thank Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. If you guys are unfamiliar with Scentbird, I love working with them because they are a monthly subscription service for fragrances. You get to choose a new designer fragrance every month for only $17, so it's super affordable. And the samples that you get are way bigger than the typical sample that you would get in store. You actually get a 30-day supply, but if you are not wanting to try out a new fragrance that month, you can skip any month that you want with no penalty. They have over 600 different brands that you can choose from in so many amazing scents, so you're definitely gonna find something that suits what you are wanting. I can never commit to just one scent. I love trying out new things, and that is why this is perfect for me. I love having so much variety based on like my mood and how I'm wanting to smell that day. So Scentbird has actually recently changed their vials, and I love these new ones so much. The other ones were really handy too, but these ones are so pretty and they are easy to just like throw in your purse on the go. I'm constantly visiting my family back home, so these are awesome for bringing like a variety of fragrances with me and not having to lug around a huge bottle. These vials are super handy. They are magnetic, so easy to get the actual vial out, but when you pop it back in there, you can lock it, so like you don't have to worry about this spraying in your bag or anything, and then you can just like twist the top so then it will unlock and spray. I got 4 scents this time around. The first one is Ash, which is by Ashley Benson, and it is East 12th, so it smells like rose damask, black cedar, and zesty orange. The next one is Good Habit by Rise, and this one has notes of raspberry, crisp pear, peony, freesia, and musk. I also got Fall Cashmere by Skylar Clean Beauty, which has notes of roasted almond, cinnamon bark, and spiced ginger. And the final fragrance that I got this time around is Wish You Were Here by Memoir Archives. This one has notes of summer rain and petrichor, I'm probably saying that wrong, but toasted almonds and fresh ground coffee. These all smell so good. They're very unique too, like different scents than I have in my collection, but I just love building my collection with Scentbird. It is so lovely to have a variety of fragrances to choose from every day. If you guys are interested in checking out Scentbird, I highly recommend it. I have never been disappointed by any of the fragrances that I have liked, but even if I was, like, you're not committing to a full bottle. It's just so much better than trying something at the store. But they have been kind enough to offer you guys 55% off of your first month with Scentbird, which is only around $8 a month, and that's awesome. Definitely click the link in my description box down below to take advantage of that offer, and thank you so much to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. I am actually going to start off with the books that I have already read, so obviously they were on my TBR, but I'll talk about them more in an upcoming recent reads video. But I'm filming this on January 6th, and I'm currently reading You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. I'm actually almost done with this one. I should be able to finish it later today, but it is really enjoyable. It's really cute. I don't think I'm like falling in love with it, but it is like a fun listen. I needed a fun listen after the book that I just finished yesterday. I have had this one one for such a long time though, so I am glad that I'm like finally reading it. It is a telenovela sort of thing where you have two characters who are starring in a show together, and they end up obviously having some off-screen chemistry as well, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I am quite enjoying this one. But the book that I had to move on to something that was very light. Like, I had a hard time choosing my next read because yesterday I finished with The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, which I have wanted to read for a very long time, and then one of my friends said that it like stuck with her, and she saw that I hadn't read it yet and told me that. I read The Nightingale years ago, but it was one of my favorite reads. Like, it's one of my favorite books of all time. So I don't know why I put this one off for so long, but like, long story short, I will talk about it more, but I loved this one. Like, I understand why she said that it stuck with her, because oh my God, it's one of those books where I just felt heavy after finishing it because it was so powerful and so good, like just incredible. But anyways, this isn't the review. So this is about a character who moves with her mother and father to Alaska, and they're in like the very remote parts of Alaska. Definitely be aware of trigger warnings for this one. It does deal with abuse at the forefront, and it can be like really difficult to read at times, but it's also a story of like adventure in some ways and watching this character adapt to her situation. And yeah, it's really spanning a very long period of time, and that's one of my favorite things. I'm a sucker for that in books, but you really get to know this character throughout the story, and it's just, oh, it's mind-blowing, honestly, like so good. I also read Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert, which is her first young adult novel, so I was really excited for it, and it was really cute. I liked it a lot. I love Talia Hibbert's writing. Like, it's super adorable. She has that witty banter, and you're seeing characters who were really good friends when they were kids, and then they kind of like aren't really anymore, but then they are coming together again and realizing that their relationship actually has the potential for much more, and it's super sweet to watch that develop. But it is a really good one that I've already read. And finally, I already have read Carrie Soto Is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've just been making my way through my like 2023 TBR, really killing it, honestly. But this is the latest book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is very, very popular. But this one is about the tennis star Carrie Soto, who was initially introduced in Malibu Rising. And I didn't really like Malibu Rising that much, but I did actually really like this one. Carrie Soto was a fascinating main character, and there was kind of a point where it's like, okay, this is like dragging a little bit, but then it picked up and I was like, whoa, like I ended up really liking it. And yeah, if you're looking for like a story about a tennis star who's trying to make a comeback when everyone like doesn't think that she can, this is a great one. Okay, now to the other books that I have here. It's a pile of just a little bit of everything, honestly. So first we have The Reader by Tracy Chee. I read We Are Not Free by Tracy Chee in 2021, and it was my favorite book of the year. Fell in love with it. But that one was a historical fiction, and now I have two books on my TBR by her that are fantasies, and I haven't read them yet, obviously, but I am really wanting to. Like, this one came out before We Are Not Free, and then she has one that just came out last year. So I feel like I should prioritize The Reader, and it seems pretty interesting. Like, I remember what kind of dragged me into this one was what it says on the back, which it says, "This is a book, you are the reader, look closer, there's magic there," which is just, I don't know, that's really captivating to me. So in Sophia's world, reading is unheard of, but everything changes when she finds the book. It is the one thing that can save her. It is the one thing that can destroy her. Like, as someone who loves reading, obviously something like that is definitely going to pique my interest. Speaking of, I actually have another story that is about books that I hauled in my Christmas book haul, but that is The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. This was pretty hyped up on TikTok, I guess. I hadn't really seen it. Honestly, my TikTok doesn't really give me specific book recommendations. It's just kind of like random stuff. I don't really know what has happened to my algorithm, but I don't even have like good, I don't know, good videos that I've been seeing on TikTok. It's really annoying. For some reason, I'm on true crime TikTok, which does not interest me in the least, so that's really annoying. But anyways, this is about a character who, it's like this world where books are food, like based on what you eat, what kind of book you eat, it changes things. So like, women are always fed stories that are like lighter, like kind of what you would expect from society, and then men are fed like these whatchamacallit, like adventurous, those sorts of stories. So it's such a fascinating concept for the world, but then it's actually, one of the characters has a son who is born with a rare and darker kind of hunger, which isn't for book but human minds. Like, what? I really don't know what to make of this one, but it honestly has been like piquing my interest a lot. Of course, after reading Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle, I'm really wanting to get to the 2 books that I have by her on my TBR, but I feel like I want to start with this one. So You Deserve Each Other is also a book that was on TikTok quite a bit, and it seems very fascinating, like a second chance romance, which is my favorite, but it's about like characters who were engaged and then they end up like following through with the engagement essentially, or at least like neither one of them is giving in because they have this ruse, so then they won't like lose out on all the money. It just seems like a recipe for disaster, honestly, but also like it could be really good. Similarly, after reading, what is it called? Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane, I feel like I really need to read The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane really soon. So this is set like on movie sets or TV sets, which I might not read it very, very soon since that's kind of similar to You Had Me at Hola, and I like to kind of bridge those books out a little bit. But I did really like Alison Cochrane's writing, so it has had me super intrigued wanting to read this one. This is a male-male romance, and it just sounds absolutely adorable. It's between like the producer of this dating show and one of the contestants. I'm so ready for this love story. I've heard amazing things about it. Next is Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I have been wanting to pick this one up very much recently, and I don't know why. Like, it's just one of those certain books where all of a sudden I'm like, yes, I want to read that soon, but I can't pinpoint the reason for it. But this is a fake dating story where the main character ends up finding herself in a relationship with the guy that like everyone has warned her about, so obviously that's going to be quite the situation. Next is City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is kind of another similar thing where I don't particularly know why this book has been catching my eye. This is actually by the author of Eat, Pray, Love, which is kind of interesting because I thought that Eat, Pray, Love was a nonfiction title, but this is obviously a fiction book. At least I hope it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, a novel. I knew it was, but this is set in 1940, and it is a rollicking novel of glamour, sex, and adventure set in the 1940s New York theater world. I've heard some very amazing things about this one, and I've never really read anything like that, so maybe that's why it's been catching my eye. I don't really know. I definitely would really like to get to Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sue Lynn Tan soon, because I read Daughter of the Moon Goddess at the end of 2022 and loved it, so I want to keep up that momentum by reading this one. I didn't know this one was actually coming out as like a paperback original, which is kind of annoying because the other one that I have is a hardcover, but like whatever, they don't sit together on my shelves anyways. But this is obviously the second book, and it's actually a duology, so it's the final book. And I just love Daughter of the Moon Goddess so much that I want to know what happened. Like, I'm not generally one that reads sequels a ton, but this is definitely one where I want to read the sequel. Next is When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. So this is another book that I hauled in that Christmas Day book haul that I did, that big unboxing. And since I found out what it was about on that day, I was like, I need to read this. This is actually a historical fiction that is set in Montreal, which is really cool because I don't think I've ever read any historical fiction set in Canada, let alone like somewhere that I live near. Like, I live like quite close to Montreal. I mean, I say that I moved to Montreal because it's just easier for everyone, but I'm not like in the city proper. But I believe that this one is about Marie Antoinette too, or maybe it's just charismatic Marie Antoine is the daughter of the richest man in 19th century Montreal. I don't really know. But anyways, the point is, I really want to read this one. Like, I'm super, super interested in this one and probably will be picking it up very soon, hopefully, because usually I say that and then it takes me forever, but I really want to read this one soon. Next is Our Violin Ends by Chloe Gong. Similar situation where it is another like duology that I want to finish with, especially because Chloe Gong has a few books that are coming out. She has 2 that are coming out this year, and then she also has Foul Lady Fortune, which I picked up recently that I want to read. But I feel like I need to finish These Violent Delights duology first. And I really enjoyed These Violent Delights, so once again, let's keep up that momentum and get to the sequel soon. The Heart Principle by Helen Huang is one that I have been meaning to read for so long, and just I need to get this one off of my TBR. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I do really enjoy this series or companion series. I love the author, but it's just taken me a very long time to get to this one for whatever reason. So I need to change that and I need to get to this book. This is definitely a TBR veteran because I think it came out in like 2019 or something like that. I can't even remember, but this is following Kwan, and you have different love stories in the series that are following like different characters that all know each other. So it's just really sweet, and I just am such a huge fan of Helen Huang's writing. Next, Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. I'm definitely wanting to read because I recently read Written in the Stars and really liked it. So now that I have another one by this author, I should get to it, right? This one, I believe, is also a second chance romance. So will this be their second chance at first love? Oh, I love a second chance romance, like for sure. Oh my God, it's also best friends. Okay, so it's a steamy queer rom-com about former best friends who might be each other's second chance at love. That just sounds absolutely delightful to me. Next, Bunny by Mona Awad. I have seen this book around a lot, and I know it's about like this clique who are in this fiction writing, like it's about creative writing students, so that's very intriguing to me because I was in the creative writing program at my university, but then I ended up dropping it because I hated it. Like there was no respect for people who didn't write just like poetry and whatever. I just was not a fan of it. Also, the classes were like absolutely useless, but whatever. The point is, Bunny is about like a creative writing course, but then it's also about this clique, so like I'm very interested in this and I want to know why it's so hyped up. I have mentioned this book a bit recently, but the Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams has been totally catching my eye. I wanted to grab the stationery shop as well because that one has been intriguing me, but I talked about it, I feel like, quite a bit over Bookmas, so I'm trying not to be too repetitive. But the Dictionary of Lost Words deals with like the history of the Oxford English Dictionary, and the author was inspired by true events to write this story. I am just fascinated by that. And finally, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern is definitely a book that I've had for a very long time, and I kind of have been putting it off, but then someone said that it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland-esque, so then I'm wondering, will I like it? I think that if I start this one and I'm not into it, I'm just gonna go ahead and DNF it, especially because The Night Circus just wasn't for me. I wanted to love it so badly, but I just didn't. So I feel like I should like just see if I'm gonna like this one, and then it will be off of my TBR. Okay, so those are all the books that I wanted to talk about today. I know that's like, I don't know, I feel like it's a fairly large list, but I've been doing very well with reading and I'm just trying to keep that up. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another new one soon. Bye!